Hey everybody, I'm going to discuss my mom's DNA results. She tested on Ancestry originally, and I transferred her raw DNA file over to FamilytreeDNA, and I paid for the upgrade, or the unlocking bit of that, to see what they said about her results. So I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about my mom's results. Ancestry changed her results a little bit. So did Family Tree in their recent update. And I'm going to bring those up. My mom's ancestry, for the most part, in recent lineage, is mostly Irish. She has, I think about half of her second great grandparents were Irish, for the most part, or came from Ireland. She has ties to early New England. She comes from a couple of Mayflower families, a lot of Great Migration families that came over from, like, Devon, England, Hertfordshire, England, Staffordshire, England, Sussex, England, London, tracing those lines back, the ones that I can, anyways. Her Irish lineage, the records have been a little difficult. Anybody who's familiar with researching Irish genealogy knows that sometimes the records just aren't there, or they don't have, or they haven't been indexed, you know, what have you. I have gotten lucky with a lot of her lines in regards to actually finding some records. So, majority of my mom's Irish ancestry comes from the northern counties of Ireland: Tyrone, Armagh, Londonderry, possibly County Monaghan. She does have a line that goes to County Cork. So a lot of Ulster, Ireland. And her Scottish ancestry, she has a recent Scottish line. One of her third great grandmothers was Scottish. Sarah Matilda Campbell, who was born in New Brunswick, Canada, supposedly the daughter of Daniel Campbell of Scotland. That's about as far as I've been able to get with that. And so yeah, I'm going to go over some of her results. Her DNA results have changed a little bit on Ancestry. With their recent rollout, they readjusted her amounts. And it was a bit of a surprise, in some sense. The genetic communities that she's a member of was not a surprise at all. The big surprise for my mom would have to be the Scandinavian amount. And in one regard, in one sense, it's not that much of a surprise, given her Irish lineage, that there's Scandinavian in there. I wasn't expecting it to be this high. My mom's ethnicity estimate is 100% European, and knowing my mother's lineage and her tree, that doesn't come as a shock. She's pretty plain Jane European. She's a redhead. And within the European, she is 66% Ireland. Not a surprise at all. 19% Scandinavian, 7% Europe West. And the Ireland grouping actually does encompass parts. It does encompass parts of England, Great Britain. The Europe West is France, Germany, bordering into, like, Ukraine and Russia and all that. Eastern European, a little bit. Bordering on those areas. Here, I'll show you the map. So that's her Irish lineage, that's her Scandinavian, that's her Europe West. And that outline circle is, she is low confidence reason, she's 5% Italy, Greece, and 3% Great Britain, which, that surprised me. I expected her Great Britain amount to be slightly higher, given all the lines she has to the Great Migration from England and Europe to here. So that was a slight surprise. And her genetic communities, surprise, surprise, are settlers of colonial New England and Scots in central Scotland and Ulster, Ireland. And her settlers to colonial New England. Here's the map. Not a surprise at all. And within that, settlers of Maine. A lot of her lines actually did go to Maine. I've been able to trace it via records. And for settlers of Maine, my mother and 141 of her DNA matches share this, are genetically linked to that genetic community. And settlers of New England, my mom and 293 of her DNA matches are genetically linked to that community. The Scots in central Scotland and Ulster, Ireland. Here's the photo for that. I don't know if it's blurry or anything. Might be blurry. That's that little region. And my mom and 23 of her DNA matches are genetically linked. The likelihood is possible. Given my mom's Irish ancestry, I'd say it's probably more than possible, but I've come to find out that a lot of my mom's Irish ancestries, the surnames, a lot of them actually have Scottish origins, such as Kyle, Nicholson, McCrory, stuff like that. And on FamilytreeDNA, this was a bit of this is what it was a surprise. Initially on FamilytreeDNA, my mom was like Scandinavian and Western European. That was pretty much it. She had like 3 things. She was Western European, Great Britain, or British Isles, because FamilytreeDNA groups Ireland in with Great Britain, and Scandinavian. That was her 3 amounts. That was it. She was plain Jane European. So when they updated their estimations, it kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. She went from that to 99% European. Within that, 99% British Isles. That's it. Trace regions, under 1% Northeast Asia. Yeah, Northeast Asia. Like Mongolia, China, you know? Yeah, that kind of made me go, what? And less than 1% West Middle East, which is smack dab along the Gaza Strip. Again, kind of made me scratch my head going, what? So this is the map blob, if you will, for her British Isles amount. Right there. And here is the Northeast Asia amount. It's kind of hard to see because of the shading. But, yeah, it's Mongolia, parts of China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, parts of Russia. I'm, like, kind of scratching my head going, what the hell? So, I mean, yeah, it's under 1%, so, huge grain of salt there, but still kind of made me go, what? Again, same with the Middle Eastern results. Smack dab, Gaza Strip. Along the West Bank of Israel, Gaza Strip, going into Syria. I didn't know what to make of that. I was kind of like, huh, okay. Interesting. Still don't know what to make of it. But for the most part, my mom is pretty much European. And yeah, so that's my mom's results. Her video is probably going to be a little shorter than my dad's, mainly due to the fact that she doesn't have nearly as many groupings as my dad does. Again, she's 5% Italy, Greece. I'm not really sure where that comes from. Let's see, let me scroll back to that. Yeah, she's 5% Italy, Greece, 3% Great Britain. The Great Britain I really did expect to be higher. Like, yes, I know that majority of her recent lines, a good, like, almost half of them, come from Ireland. Not a surprise to see the 66% Irish. Not a shock whatsoever. I kind of was like, well, yeah, that's what I expected. The only 3% Great Britain, in light of her ancestry from Great Britain, kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. And mind you, this ancestry is going back to like the early 1600s or early 1700s in some places, where they came from Ireland, they came from England, excuse me, and settled here in like Ipswich. She comes from some of the earliest settlers of Ipswich, of Gloucester, Massachusetts, Essex County, Massachusetts, Barnstable, like. So it really kind of made me kind of scratch my head, kind of going, huh, okay. I really expected her Great Britain amount to be higher. The Scandinavia, that's just what a surprise. Almost 20% Scandinavian. Now, when I think of this, I'm also thinking about my mom has a DNA match who is from Norway, and he's predicted to be like a fifth cousin or something like this. Him and I have corresponded. He can't figure out where we're connected at all. His ancestry has been like in Oslo, Norway for the last like 700 years. And I'm at a loss to try to figure it out myself, because most of my mom's lineages are either from Ireland or from England or Scotland. Like, that's the majority of my mom's ancestry. The only other thing I can think of is my maternal DNA. I did my mitochondrial DNA. My mom hasn't done the test, but she's my mother, so I got it from her. Stands to reason. My mitochondrial DNA is haplogroup U3A1C, and that comes out of Scandinavia. So, I mean, somewhere in the last, like, 7,000 years, my maternal line went from Scandinavia to Ireland to Boston, because that's where my maternal line comes from. I'm able to trace it back to Ireland in the last 4 generations, from County Kerry originally, and then they went to County Limerick, and then down here. So, that's the only other thing I can think of, is that maybe some of my Irish lines further back were recently Scandinavian. I do not know much about any crisscross in recent centuries between Scandinavian region and Ireland. I know that, yeah, historically, that yes, a lot of, the Vikings, the Danes, and whatnot, yeah, there was a lot of crisscross and there was a lot of settlement into Ireland and Scotland. So that doesn't shock me, but 19%, that's pretty high. So I'm not really, again, sure where that's coming from, especially in light of that DNA match. My mom actually has several DNA matches that are from England, third cousin or more. Still, we cannot figure out how they're related. I highly suspect that there's either a mix-up in my mom's tree, or there's just some information I'm not finding. There's a few branches of my mom's genealogy that it's really been hard to track, especially her Irish lines. Like, I know that the Vikings came down to Ireland. I know there were different migrations of different people to Ireland over the last 500 years. Who's to say that that's not where some of this comes from? But I really don't know. So that's the video for my mom. I hope you guys enjoyed. I plan on doing my own tests on AncestryDNA. I did mine originally on FamilytreeDNA. And they also adjusted my results, which I'll make a short video on that, because I've already made a video about my results. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.